Hello, and welcome to RPG Limit Break. Tonight we have another excellent race from the second elimination bracket stage of the 2019 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament. As luck would have it, two strong runners will be colliding tonight, and one will be moving on to the quarterfinals. We have the number 2 seeded MisterHomes coming in at a perfect 5-0 from the Swiss rounds. And he'll be taking on AmazingToaster, who came in at the number 18 seed with a 3-2 record. MisterHomes arrived by defeating Scratch Dragon, and then a victory over Z-Man 050778. Defeated Angel FM in a sub 50-minute effort, and then defeated Smashy in the 4th round in a close race. And then had a race against Highspirits with some alternate flag sets. Won that race to go 5-0, so he'll be facing off against AmazingToaster, who arrived by defeating J-Man 1865 by less than a minute and over a 2-hour seed, before subsequently having to face off against Jackamus Wedge and drop that race. Then had to face off against Game Boy F9, ended up losing that one to go 1-2, bounced back by defeating Weejui in the 4th round by a mere 4 seconds to keep his tournament alive, then defeated Z-Man 050778 in the 5th round in another 2-hour seed to get into the playoffs at 3-2. He was able to win over the 4-1 Edgeworth in the 1st round of the brackets. MisterHomes defeated Empty Eye in his first match, so both runners have made it here to the round of 16, certainly earned their place in this round, and the winner tonight will advance to the quarterfinals to take on the winner of a race between Bobski 021 and Beta Strap. So joining me tonight is my excellent co-commentator, Highspirits. How is it going tonight?
Good evening up to NG, not too bad. Enjoying some nice food here while we get ready for a race against someone who's a very good at several randomizers in a toaster, very good in the Zelda randomizers, and MisterHomes has always been one of the best in Dragon Warrior randomizer, consistently in the top 2 and 3 in the SRL rankings and tournaments and whatnot.
Yeah, both are highly skilled competitive racers here, and we're getting our first look at the stats for today, and so we have mostly white in the stat column, and we even have the sleep spell starting off, both runners choosing strength and HP to focus on, so could be a relatively quick start getting going here.
Well, this doesn't look like fun. We don't want to just hand them a nice easy start here with all of
Yeah, and we're the second half of a double header tonight, and the previous race tonight was a very fast seed, so let's see how we're following it up as we enter the throne room today.
Yep, 3 chests that you get to start out with. One is always going to be a key. And we also have gold and an herb, which is a good starter pack, just in case there's either shops to buy stuff with the money or an herb to heal from in case you get in an epic fight. But with 17 strength, they're pretty much going to demolish almost every enemy that's in this.
It's kind of interesting because both of them low-rolled the gold and won't have enough for an immediate hand axe, but since they looked at their stats, and it is reasonable strength starting out, neither one choosing to reset, and neither one choosing to save the gold either. So we're just going to head out and fight some Magidrakes.
I don't blame them at all. I mean, there's no point in resetting and getting more gold if there's no town nearby. If you open up the chest and you walk outside and there's like, oh look, there is a hand axe or some stuff that I can buy, that's when you hit the reset button. But they both ran into Magidrakes, they're both going to gain a level, and it's no longer...
MisterHomes has had to use sleep about 3 times in this battle, doing the minimum 2 damage multiple times, but finally manages it, while AmazingToaster has an easier time of it. But another 12 power and the Heal More spell coming at level 2. So we're off and running.
And 17 more strength. They already got good starting strength, or health and strength, to the point where Toaster is already going out and looking at level 2.
I actually like this play of looking for the secondary zone monsters, because you have the sleep spell to work with and you have 29 strength. So you should be a favorite to fight this Trakimo with that combination. Whereas MisterHomes is looking around a little closer to home for the smaller monsters, just maybe to get to level 3 first before moving on. But
Oh
Amazing
yeah, I don't have
Toaster
an issue.
does go for the level skip here. I think that's going to jump him all the way to 4.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get a couple of quick levels here, and hurt, which is actually a very good spell early on when you're not destroying stuff, but it will help out a lot against things like metal scorpions that you can't still.
Yeah, so both runners will easily find the Stones of Sunlight cave here. It just has the fairy water today, but that could be useful to get out away from the starting zone a little bit later. It works just like the repel spell. And there's also another cave to the south here for Amazing Toaster. So he's branched out a little bit earlier than MisterHomes on the exploration. And we find Swamp South, and he's going to wait for later on to see what's on the other side.
Oh yeah, it's almost worth it if you can go through the swamp early. He probably wants some magic and health before he does that, because if it leads to the back of the castle when you have a bunch of money on you, there's your free keys, or even to the back of Geringham, you might find a key there, and that's the next big thing they want to find is where their keys are going to be. Open up all of the chests.
Rip gold for Amazing Toaster, first death of the seed, and so he'll lose half his gold by talking to the king and getting resurrected. So no hand axe money anymore, but they really don't need a weapon at this point. We've got good strength and that sleep and hurt spells. So no problem there. Just going to continue to go west of the Swamp Cave here instead of going through Swamp Cave. And MisterHomes seems like he wants to take a trip to the old man here so that he can save the gold that he has on hand instead of taking quick death warp, just in case he were to find a town in the near future.
And Toaster did find an enemy that would actually be very good for them to fight with hurt and well, not really sleep because they're resistant, but in the Druid Lord, having heal and sleep is actually really cool against killing them. The problem is they're better at killing you because they have the Dragon Lord breath.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty good one. They're also reasonably good for the HP already at this early level. With 44 HP, they can almost always withstand one hurt more spell now, and certainly they could have taken 2 hits from a Druid Lord at this stage, but can't survive that Dragon Lord breath, and there's no way to know that it has it until it's too late. MisterHomes is also fighting a Druid Lord, and maybe it's like a low percentage Dragon Lord breaths, because so far MisterHomes is having way better success.
Oh yeah, he took a few turns to get the kill, and he's gonna get a bunch of zeros for that.
Not too shabby. So with that, an early experience lead for MisterHomes as he's closing in on level 6, while Amazing Toaster still needs a few more points to get to level 5. Yeah, as you mentioned, not much in the way of stat growth or spell growth for level 5, but just gets you on the board, and now he gets another Druid Lord. Not so lucky this time. So I believe that's the first death for MisterHomes. Not going to worry about the gold that he just lost. I think they're completely forgotten about that at this point, just trying to make progress. Now, as you mentioned, they want to start covering the map pretty soon so that they can find some caves, and potentially you want to get keys as quickly as possible at this stage.
Oh yeah, it's now time to do some exploration. And that last level, although there was a lot of zeros, that 14 magic was huge because they only had 13 to work with at 4. So that's suddenly 2 more heal mores that they can use.
It's starting to look like MisterHomes is going to try to make his way through Swamp Cave, while Amazing Toaster so far has been avoiding that. Toaster almost out of resources, just kind of wandering around down here south of Swamp Cave. Not sure if he ever full cleared this area before. I guess it continues off to the west in this direction, but I don't know if we're on the east coast on the starting castle, so everything's going to kind of flow to the west from here.
Oh yeah, and there's another cave for Toaster, but MisterHomes is in Swamp South. That was the one that he went into. And Toaster finds some jerk sitting in a cave that's really cranky and old and angry.
He'll be more friendly later on if they have some items for him. But good HP boost for MisterHomes and the Mighty Hurtmore spell. So first one to level 6 gives you a nice bit of room to run now. And on 1 MP, he's a step away from this town here.
Yeah, going through the swamp was the play, because there's 2 towns just outside of the swamp. So there's a potential for some good stuff. We got Geringham here first, which is it's great if you have keys, but he doesn't, unfortunately.
36 agility, manages to run from that snowman on the second attempt in order to secure his place here. He's going to take the inn to refresh all those resources. He was just about completely out. I didn't see him really buy anything in that shop, so maybe you're just going to go over and grab some herbs and torches and whatnot. Dragon scale here would give +2 defense.
Yeah, I think he was just scouting out what was there is all.
Yeah, the other thing too is he saw that there was another town very close by, so maybe he wants to hold on to some of the money to see what's in that other town. Maybe there's a copper sword sitting over there. Doesn't necessarily want to burn through all of his cash, but he is loading up on items right now. But as you mentioned, yeah, Garenham's great, especially later on. There's 3 more chests behind this locked door and access to an additional cave. But for now, it's pretty much just a weapon shop. And yet a third town off to the west here. So he's following that north coastline. Just bumps into another cave. And he's going to attempt to double hurt more on the blue dragon, which will be working out maybe 30% of the time. It's a nice aggressive play.
30% of the time, 100% of the time. It's a huge experience boost with being able to actually pull off the double hurt more.
Doubles his experience total, gets level 7 in the process, 360 plus points total now, and finds the shopping mall here. Cantlin with access to 2 shops right away. There's an additional shop later on with keys, and gonna settle for the small shield so far, and the copper sword. So Toaster, I think, is finally going through Swamp Cave, because this is the place to be over here.
Oh, yeah. And then get some keys. They got a lot of good places to burn those keys really fast. So if this ends up being Rimmildar down here, that would be perfect.
Just going to say, there might be keys right over here. Wolf Lord's an excellent enemy to run into in this stage as well. Just going with the hurt more strats again. He knows there's an inn right nearby, most likely. Or if it's Hawksnest, he can just double back to a previous inn, no problem. Would want to probably refresh resources before tackling a spike tile enemy. And Toaster having some tough luck. Dragonlord 2 Breath from the Metal Scorpion, so that's at least the second enemy that we've seen already with that ability.
Yeah, MisterHomes fought a Scorpion earlier and didn't see it either, so right now it's a tale of luck and unluck right now, as Toaster is finding Dragonlord Breath on everything and MisterHomes isn't right now.
So I think exactly as mentioned. Yeah, I think he did pop in, and it was Hawksnest, right? So he is going to refresh resources. So now with a full 43 MP to work with, you got some heal mores, you got some hurt mores, and you can go see what's on the spike tile here. With 67 hit points, there are 1 or 2 enemies that would still be tough to tackle, but he's going for it.
Oh yeah, the only things he doesn't want to see is Red Dragon and Golem. Other than that, he can kill whatever else is in that tile. But the blue dragons don't seem to really want to let him get there.
Yeah, one of the more difficult enemies to run from in the early stages, but he is successful getting away. Multiple blue dragons, and many of them are ambushing as well, which makes things a bit dicey, but...
Toaster made it through the swamp cave and died to a stone man without using sleep.
Yeah, so MisterHomes was in that same exact situation, a step away from town. Didn't even have enough MP to cast sleep at that time, but managed to run from the stone man. Meanwhile, AmazingToaster with the same encounter, not so lucky. So as you mentioned, just some of the encounter luck is going MisterHomes' way. And what do we have here on the spike tile?
A red dragon with hurt more, which actually that's not a bad thing to see later in the seed when you have Erdrick's armor. But right now, hurt more without any protection hurts very much, and yeah, they cast it every turn, so it looked like. So maybe stop spell is a potential strength, but yeah, that red dragon, he did 1 damage to it. You can't hurt more it, you can't sleep it, so you just need to get stronger to deal with it.
So interesting, MisterHomes choosing not to bother with the second continent any longer. After that death warp, it's going to go northwest of the Stones of Sunlight Cave. The map does seem to open up to the west here on the first continent. I think Toaster had gotten this far earlier and there wasn't much over here. But Toaster now is going where MisterHomes just traveled to a few minutes ago and going to check out all these towns, see what he can do with it.
Yeah, Toaster got over here where Holmes is and was getting destroyed by the late game enemies.
So
MisterHomes has hurt more, which is great for everything in this area, and He's just loading up on EXP.
Yeah, a little bit of a strategy question for you here, because Toaster kind of has been aggressive with early exploration. Unfortunately for him, he still hasn't gotten to the Hurtmore spell because, he's running around on level 5. I mean, at some point, do you feel like maybe we should just make sure to get some experience here? Because he's gotten some exploration done, but a lot, without that Hurtmore spell, he's falling further and further behind here.
In a case like Toaster, once you do some exploration and you start to get some experience and you realize, hey, I'm only like 30 or 40 from a level, that's where you should probably run to an area with enemies that you know you can kill for decent experience and fight them to get that level, because you never know what that next level is going to be. But if he was, the exploration I agree with, but as he starts to get closer to a level and he's having trouble with deaths, take a minute or so to grind in an area that you know about and get that quick level.
Yeah, you just don't want to get stuck in one place where you're running from enemies and you're trying to see what's out there, and the more you do that, the more you're just not gaining ground. And I feel like if he went further over into the forest, he saw that Drakima earlier and some enemies like that, but he's playing it super safe, staying in the primary zone, fighting ghosts and Magidrake. He really does want that level now, and he'll be pleased to get hurt more in just a few more experience points.
The problem is that zone right there where the land pinch is also has high level enemies and axe knights in it, so I think he's cautious about going through there, even though it is grass, so it should be a lower encounter.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so you have to kind of go through a tough area to get to the zone 1 over here. But he does find the Drakima, and there's the big level for AmazingToaster, so he'll be off and running now.
Now he's not worried about those axe knights at all. He's like, bring it on, axe knights. Just don't kill me before I hit kill.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting play, actually. In his case, he's already seen a bunch of areas. Now I wonder if you want to just run around in this forest and find those axe knights for a little while.
Yeah, the problem is getting back attacked kind of stinks, and you get blasted. But MisterHomes has had really good luck hurt-mooring enemies and is already up to level 8. No, wait, I think he's level 9.
A couple other things from Toaster's perspective, he might want to go back over to Hawksnest now and check that spike tile if he didn't make it over there already. And you could also pop into the Swamp Cave here and check that spike tile on the way through. I mean, if that happens to be an Axe Knight sitting right there, that's pretty close by and pretty convenient. Neither runner's bothered to check that yet.
Yeah, Toaster never saw the other 2 towns, or he never actually got into them. He died on his way to the second one. So he has no idea that even there's a third town, let alone what the second town is. But yeah, he's grinding here, trying to get Axe Knights now. Get 1 or 2 more levels.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting play if they seem like they're popping up pretty often. Druid Lord also is a great Hurtmore target. Didn't catch what else happens to be in this zone, but if it's all enemies like this, then yeah, you can get a couple of quick levels here, and then you'll have a bit more survivability to do some of that exploration where you were taking those deaths earlier. We see his COD counter, I think, is up to 8. So you want to kind of slow that down, make sure you're going to be covering some map and not taking so many deaths.
And everything is coming up Holmes right now as he just 3 for 3 to Metal Slime to get a big experience boost.
Yeah, that puts him just a few points shy of level 10 already, while Toaster just now got to level 7. So extending that experience lead in multiple ways. Metal Slime, of course, gives the max 255. But many of these other enemies he's running into, Wyvern is a great target. Once you get that Hurtmore spell, if you get the right enemies, the experience just rolls in so quickly.
Yeah, Toaster is still grinding in this area, and it looks like there's Goldmen in there too, but he's got to be careful because the Druid Lords we know have Dragon Lord breath, so he's just going to get blasted if he gets back attacked, and MisterHomes gains another level.
Beyond just getting experience here, I wonder if Toaster has anything in mind from the shop that he saw earlier, because the Axe Knight actually gives quite a bit of gold as well. And if he was fighting the Gold Man, I'm not sure that he was, but he could be saving up for something in that first town of Garanham. There was a shop there. But
the only thing he could even remotely afford would be the large shield, and he's still not quite there yet. But he did get, I think he was just grinding a couple of levels, because he's now level 8. He's going to realize that he has a lot of health, and a huge amount of MP. Now is the time to really go out and explore, because you can survive things now, including a Dragon Lord Breath from full health.
And so MisterHomes has covered quite a bit more of the map while Toaster is settling in on this early grind, and we haven't seen a whole lot of additional locations, and he's getting low on resources now. Still looking mainly for the town of Rimbledar, perhaps to buy some keys. Both major dungeons have also looted them, each one with 5 treasure chests. You could pick up a loose key in one of those as well. But nothing really exciting to be found just yet.
Yeah, there's only 4 caves left that can be found, and 2 of them are locked behind key doors. So there's a good chance that he's going to have to find keys before he's going to be able to find a good dungeon.
Yeah, one of the other towns they haven't found yet either is the town of Cole. That has a free search spot. Potentially could have Erdrick's armor. Now, if we look at our tracker, it's still pretty empty, actually. No quest items found. Equipment is minimal for both players. And so, yeah, it's a question now of exploration more so than experience. They need to, find these locations to open the chests, get the gear, get the quest items, because right now the experience won't be too much of a problem. They're almost, in Mr. Holmes' case, he's like almost invincible at this point. And so now it's just how fast can you cover this map so that you can round everything up.
And I noticed Toaster is trying to see if he can find a good grind zone here in this desert. And he's finding Stonemen and Druid Lords, which wouldn't call those the best grind spots right now.
So a level 10 with these stats, we're getting our first look as a couple of them have creeped up into the orange zone. The HP is quite good for the mid-game here, and it's actually reasonably able to defeat the Dragon Lord with that HP total. And we have enough magic to sustain them on the overworld for a while as well. Everything else looks a bit average. Gonna look for a few more levels, but yeah, I think nothing to complain about with stat progression in this seed. It's just pretty straightforward so far, just a matter of finding everything. And a lot of empty space. Mr. Holmes is just finding more and more monsters and no caves or towns.
Yeah, and it looked like Toaster was actually grinding in that desert to start so he could afford the large shield, which he was able to purchase. And he did find metal slimes in there too, but unlike Mr. Holmes, which is 5 for 5 against metal slimes right now, that one didn't stick around.
Yeah, I love that large shield pickup. Did a little bit of an early grind just for the experience. Happened to get some gold along the way. Popped back into that town, got the large shield, and sometimes that's the last shield that you'll need for the rest of the game. Eventually, you'll be finding Erdrick's sword and, Erdrick's armor. So sometimes the shield is the best purchase, really, especially with Hurt More and Heal More already.
And Mr. Holmes finds the most exciting town, Breckenary, filled with a beautiful large shield and a fancy flaming sword. Other than that, it's a cheap Motel 6, and I feel like Toaster is going to be checking the trap.
Actually, Mr. Holmes is heading over to the Fairy Water shop. Pretty interesting play. Hasn't learned the Repel spell yet here on level 10, and has a little bit of extra money where he passed on some really cheap armor, and instead is going to load up on Fairy Water.
So there's a blue dragon in the swamp trap tile, which is not a terrible thing to see, especially as they got a lot of health, but they're going to need a much better weapon before they can grind that consistently. And there's towns right near, so I feel like unless they get really high strength or get Erdrick's sword or whatever, the blue dragon is going to be the grind. If they get a Erdrick's sword, then it's definitely the red dragon grind for the late game.
Yeah, we saw Mr. Holmes go with the double hurt more against the Blue Dragon earlier. If you had to just defeat one of them to go get the princess or something, then that's an option. But as a grind, that's definitely not sustainable. AmazingToaster manages to get the information and escape with his life here. 52 agility, first attempt on the run from the Red Dragon.
Yeah, it looks like Toaster is more busy at trying to find places to grind. Trying to find out where there's good grinding. And Holmes looks like he found the grave. He found one of the caves. He gets 3 chests for free, but the fourth and fifth chest require a little bit of a down payment.
Yeah, we're getting further and further along without keys. So 3 chances at a loose key here. Also could pick up a quest item or even Erdrick's sword in his travels, but let's see what we get.
The minimum gold in the chest. That is impressive. But he kind of found something else that's a little bit important called the Silver Harp. It's, you kind of need that in order to get to the final dungeon, to make the fancy drop that rainbows and stuff come out of, and it allows you to build a bridge to the evil dragon.
Not too bad. So that's 1 out of 3 quest items in the books for MisterHomes. And, but still no keys, and actually trying to think of how many more, besides finding Mountain Cave, that might be the last opportunity. I guess Mountain Cave and Tablet Cave could still have loose keys. He's already now seen the top of the grave, and they raided the Stones of Sunlight Cave earlier.
Yeah, there is still 6 chests out there that are available, but that's not going to be the case because at least one of those 2 will be behind a locked door. Because there's only 3 caves left, including the Staff of Rain cave. So 2 of them have to be locked behind key doors. So it's starting to look more and more like Rimmeldar might be the way you have. Breckenary! Sorry, someone's got to get excited for that.
Well, MisterHomes is excited to be able to take this in when he's out in the world. He only had 3 MP remaining. So he's doing a great job of just using up all the MP, hurt mooring enemies, gaining experience, and then just, hopping from inn to inn in between. Looks like he may even go over to get more fairy water. He has about 40 defense power, so he'd be repelling, the very weakest nuisance enemies while still coming up with the, the mid-tier hurt moorable enemies that he's looking for.
Yeah, sadly, their defense is low enough that repel doesn't really repel all of the trash that they don't want to see. So he's kind of still going to have to deal with some mid-tier enemies, which I'm sure he would like to ignore. Pretty sure he just wants to come across things like Axe Knights and Werewolves, things that he can one-shot or almost one-shot with Hurtmore. Things like Wraiths are not the best to see right now, although 2 of them does get him a level.
Passes right by that cave. I forget. I guess he's retracing some steps from earlier.
Yeah, he was in there earlier. And he finds a new cave, which is the Mountain Cave. Yes. So he has 5 chests to potentially get his key. That means the 2 lost
it's starting
chests.
to feel like MisterHomes is starting to get a stranglehold on this seed. He's got the experience lead up over 1,000, and now he's the one that's finding everything as well, while Toaster's been busy doing some grinding. So yeah, he's about to make his way through the second of the major dungeons, and if he finds some good stuff in here, it's gonna really blow things wide open for MisterHomes on this lead here.
Yeah, someone in chat earlier brought it up, but the big difference in this seed was that Druid Lord. If not using Dragon Lord Breath on MisterHomes gave him the huge lead, and he just, right now, he has a massive lead in experience and exploration.
It's funny, too, when sometimes the Hurtmore level comes at one of those in-between levels where, you're tempted to go explore early because you have sleep and heal more and all that, and you just don't quite get to the Hurtmore level, and MisterHomes happened to get it with that, right after the Dragon Lord victory, or the Druid Lord victory, sorry. He had level 6 shortly after that, and then just had a bit of a jump start on the Hurtmore level.
Yeah, right now, theoretically, as long as the chest in Rimmeldar has nothing, MisterHomes only has to find Charlock. And at 26 minutes into the seed, he already knows all of the information on the seed, except for what's in the Rimmeldar chest and where Charlock is. So he could be done exploring if he finds the toad. Well, he might have to find coal. That might be the only thing that's left for them to find.
Oh, right. Yep. The
that one chest is the only outside liner.
So he does pick up keys, and depending on what he's seen in some of these shops, it's not looking like he's really looking for a death warp. But if he does take a death warp, he could potentially set up a gold grind after picking up all 5 chests here in the Mountain Cave. We don't know what's in the Tentacle Treasury, but it's one of the places that he probably will want to be opening those chests anyways. Still hasn't found Erdrick's sword, for example. But no, he's going to go without the gold grind, wants to continue exploring this portion of the second continent.
Oh yeah, he knows that he almost has everything that he needs, all the information he needs. So it's if you find the Sharlock, you maybe find Cole.
The thing is, though, like he still doesn't have the sword, for example, and so there's 4 chests in the castle, and then right through Swamp Cave, he might want to go back into Garenham. There's more chests back there. I don't know.
What I'm
it's
saying is
surprising.
he knows all the information. The only chest that he doesn't know about that he hasn't found yet is Rimmildar chest. And if he finds the sword and the token, he doesn't need the Rimmildar chest. All he needs to do is find where the token armor is and where Sharlock is. Other than that, he has access to every other chest in the game.
Well, he doesn't have much of a weapon yet, for one for one thing, and the 2 grind choices seem to be the blue dragon and the red dragon. I don't know. Well, he makes his way back to Breckenridge yet again. I guess this continent kind of loops around in a circle a little bit. Kind of circled back around, finds himself here again.
Yeah, I honestly think he's just exploring for Sharlock right now, and maybe Cole, because he has the harp, he has the stones. I mean, the token. There's a really good chance that the token and armor. Obviously, the armor is going to be in a search spot, but there's a good chance that the token is in a search spot. I mean, he almost has all of the information he needs to finish the seed. He just needs to find where Sharlock is, and then open up the chest that he knows and go from there. See if he needs Cole. See if he needs that chest in Rimmildar.
Meanwhile, Toaster looked like he was taking a crack at a golem to try to get 255 in the next level, but I think that didn't work out well. I don't know if he maybe had the emergency heal more there, and then he just aborted the fight. But yeah, a lot of those little things are just not going Toaster's way. And MisterHomes is still making rapid progress.
Yeah, sadly, Gollum is just a big pile of bricks, and he only has 59 attack power, so the Golem doesn't care about his chipping away.
Yeah, and they just hit so hard too. That large shield is just gonna not really be that helpful in that particular fight. But MisterHomes does make his way back home, and he'll be checking out, probably buying more keys first, and then checking out the treasury.
And Toaster does find Rimmildar. So there's only one town that's outstanding, and Sharlock, and then we know where everything is on the map. But he's going to check the free chest here in Rimmildar and see what that is. And MisterHomes is going to go into the basement. He knows that this is going to be either the Staff of Rain or the freebie chest. And freebie chest it is.
And the token still technically could be in the chest, and he's still looking for the sword as well. But yeah, he's going to go ahead and do his diligence here.
Oh, that's evil. Guess where the sword is? It's in Rimmildar. If MisterHomes doesn't go searching for Rimmildar, that could be bad.
Yeah, because that, like you said, he'll know where everything else is, and there'll just be the one straight chest sitting there in Rimmildar. And if he's like in grind and go mode, he may go looking for the sword in Sharlock before ever going and finding that town. So
yeah,
interesting
Sharlock
turn of events
chests.
for AmazingToaster.
Much better than that one random chest that's laying around. I guess it depends on where Cole. If Cole is over by Rimmildar, in the area by Rimmildar, and Cole is required for the token or armor, he will find it. But that's the big question mark right now. Or if it's over by Sharlock, he will find it.
Yeah, and if there's a lot of levels left to grind, that's really going to be in favor of Toaster with those spike tile choices. For now, while they're searching the overworld, I feel like Holmes will probably keep pace with the Hurtmore spell for the most part. But, you know, when it gets towards the end, you are going to want that sword at some point.
Yeah, that's one of the risks that you take when you play the game, though. If he searches everything and finds everything except for Rimmildar, do you take gamble? You gotta play the numbers.
There's no question.
MisterHomes
yeah,
loves playing the numbers. He's probably gonna think, if I can't find this on my path to find Sharlock and or Cole, then I'm not gonna bother looking for it.
For sure. If at that point still sitting on the copper sword, I would expect him to go straight into Sharlock with Hurtmore strats rather than, you know, choosing either of the spike tiles. He's gonna make his way all the way down to the treasury looking for the sword. So yeah, we'll have to see how his exploration goes. As you said, he still needs to find one or two things, and here's Sharlock right now for Toaster.
Yep, Sharlock is a little bit ways southwest of Cole, or from Rimmeldar, so I'm guessing you're probably gonna walk by and see Rimmeldar on your way down here. So that's probably good news for Mr. Holmes.
But this is the path I expected Mr. Holmes to take earlier coming out of the dungeon. So check the treasury. He's all done with that. Now come back through and check these chests in Garenham, and then maybe make your way back over to Hawksness.
And the token
here's the
is
token.
here.
Wow.
So if the armor is on the world map or in Hawksness, he may choose to do a very slow Hurtmore grind on a blue dragon before he actually goes out and looking for Sharlock or the sword. So
Yeah.
he basically, for him to not lose a ton of time grinding, he's gonna have to not find the armor in the Hawksness square or on the world map. And if it is on Hawksness, that's not very good for him either because he has a copper sword. He's not hitting that red dragon very hard.
Right, exactly. That's why I thought maybe he would continue looking for Sharlock, which is a way to, hopefully find some Hurtmoreable enemies, while running through there. But yeah, I don't know. I would expect him to go into Hawksness first here and at least try the red dragon one time, right? You should, with full resources, hopefully get him one time here.
I'm pretty sure I'm not convinced he's even going to try. Because he's going to look at 63 attack power and realize that he's going to hit the dragon for
like less than 10 damage or something.
He don't have enough heal mores to survive that. Unless he wants to risk that it's going to spam hurt more and he can hit with stop spell and just spend all day.
He did pick up stop spell on level 11, absolutely. Yeah, I just noticed that.
And there is Cole, I believe, which is a little ways away from Rimmeldar in the opposite direction of Sharlock. So we're going to find out if the armor is here or not, and we know for sure the armor is not on the world map because the old man kicked him out of his little
hut. It has to be in Cole then. So
or Hawksness.
Oh, that's right. They haven't searched there. Oh, here we go. Okay. Just things are lining up such a way that Mr. Holmes just may not find that sword. Ooh.
Yeah, it's
if he goes to Hawksness right now and gets the armor. Oof.
I think he will walk by Rimmeldar in order to get to Sharlock. He would have
he has
to
a
take
handful of more attack power now, upgrading to the hand axe, trying to eke his way towards where he could actually fight this red dragon maybe one time for the armor.
Yeah. He doesn't know exactly where the armor is, unfortunately. He doesn't know that it's there, but he might give it a shot now. I mean, I think if you hit him with if you can hit the red dragon with stop spell, especially if he's spamming Hurtmore or spells 75% of the time, then he can chip away and kill him.
Yeah, red dragon will have the largest variety of resistance to stop spell he could have. I think as much as 12 out of 16 is what it's set at in Randomizer. It could have no resistance at all, so we'll just have to see. And right now he's not even trying stop spell. He's gonna hit it for 9 damage.
That hand axe allowed him to get up to 9, and he got stop spell, so as long as he casts it relatively often, he'll have no problems with this.
Yeah, it lands it on the first try. So maybe it didn't have much resistance, or maybe he got lucky with the stop spell. But yeah, it does seem to be using that Hurtmore spell at least half the time. So that'll give him twice as many attacks before running out of resources. So absolutely. And if Red Dragon has a heal more to back this up, that's not going to work either because the spell is blocked. So great chance to finish this off.
Oh yeah. Everything is coming up Holmes right now for the most part. You could say he's gotten his fair share of luck on these encounters, but he was able to because of that Druid Lord, he was able to get out earlier and find everything. So this is just going to become a question of when does he go for Sharlock and try to find the sword.
Yeah, everything coming up Holmes except for the fact that sword's sitting in Rimmeldar, and if he takes kind of a certain route around and finds Sharlock without seeing Rimmeldar, then he may never find it. Not until the end, anyway.
Red Dragon looks like it has 75% heal more. Yep. So 50% heal more, 75% hurt more. With a 50-50 stop spell resistance.
Yeah, so the heal more doesn't come into play at all until he's down into his bottom 25% of his max HP. But so then the AI moves on to the second priority, which is that 75% hurt more. And since it's spamming that, it's not attacking you very often. And since they had triple-digit HP to work with anyways, easily able to heal up in between taking attacks from the Red Dragon. So it's a long fight, but after sticking that stop spell, which I didn't catch what the stop spell resistance was when we had the graphic up, but
it
he
was
landed it first try.
50%
resistance?
stop spell resist.
Wow.
Also, wizards have Dragon Lord Breath, a fun monster you want to see in Sharlock. You no longer want to see.
Alright, the jerk is being less of a jerk right now. Holmes having all 3 of the necessary items, exchanges those in for the rainbow drop from that old man, so he has access to Sharlock Castle now, so this is lining up even more to the point where he may go looking for Sharlock, and if he finds it, he might end up going in and looking for the sword in there.
Okay, so Toaster made it back to towns finally. He's going to get his token, but he's not going to have any clue where the mountain cave or the grave is yet. He's going to need those 2.
By the way, Toaster, with all this grinding, has done a good job of closing the gap. He's less than 700 points behind now after being pretty far behind earlier.
Well, yeah, mostly the reason why is because Holmes has been opening chests. And Toaster's been exploring, so that's how he's caught up so far.
Wait, you don't get experience points for opening chests?
But yeah, but Mr. Holmes now has a good chance of getting farther ahead because he's no longer opening chests. He is trying to kill stuff. But here he is with that inefficient Hurtmore grind. Unless he somehow keeps hitting 58% Hurtmore chances.
Yeah, I think he hadn't seen this spike tile yet anyways, right? So now that he's here, he's just going to take a shot with the Hurtmore strats. I'm not sure that he'll necessarily stay here. He is going to get 1 level off this one. So let's see what he gets here. But now I kind of think he'll move on.
It. So what does he do now? Does he grind in a spot? Does he take the time to try to find Sharlock and get experience along the way?
Yeah, I think that's the play. Since he doesn't know where Sharlock is, I would think that that's better than trying either of these spike tiles for right now. And, you know, there's a lot of Hurtmore enemies on the map. He has the Hurtmore spell, so makes some sense to look around for Sharlock a bit.
To answer a question in chat, which is the better grind? It's tough to say because Red Dragon is so juicy if you can hit him with Stop Spell. And as far as Mr. Holmes knows, it's going to hit often. But
yeah, there's no way to know that it had that 8 out of 16 resistance since he just landed it no problem.
Also, their strength is a little bit too low to be a very good grind. But if it was a little bit better stop spell resist or easier to stop spell, I could say I could easily say the Red Dragon would be a great grind. But without that, you have to grind the Blue Dragons.
Yeah. One of the troubles is you're just taking so much damage from the Red Dragon that you're just healing and healing and healing, and then you got to go find an inn. So that's what slows you down with that Red Dragon grind until, you know, things get a little easier.
Yeah, but it's not going to be because Stop Spell is going to make it so it never touches you for the most part. But Mr. Holmes is out exploring. I think he's looking for at least Sharlock, and if he does, he will find Rimildar along the path, most likely.
Alright, and Toaster's made his way back to Garenham. He has keys now. I don't think he's been back through here. As you said, Holmes has gone through all this effort to open all these chests, and I guess that's what Toaster's going to be doing now.
Well, Mr. Holmes found a way to miss Rimildar, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If he kind of took a route around the edge and then finds Sharlock
the question
is he
going to keep looking for it now that he's found Sharlock? I think he's on the right path to get there now. But yeah, he skipped it the first time. He found the way to skip it.
Yeah, he also doesn't need coal either because he's got the token and the armor. So really, he's just looking for Sharlock.
And I think he walked by Rimildar again. Yeah, he did. He walked
and I think
by
Sharlock's
Rimildar
over here, right?
A second time. Oh, he must be so close to seeing it.
And Sharlock is over to the west. I thought it was a little more south from here, but he may end up finding Sharlock and going in.
Oh, he already found Sharlock. That's what I was saying, is he found a way to skip finding Rimildar and walk to Sharlock.
Oh, and
which
he
means
didn't go in though.
extremely
Okay.
close. And then on his way back, he looped around the other way, closer to where Cole was, and completely walked by Rimildar again. So he basically donutted Rimildar.
Right. So Holmes did find Sharlock though, and I'm surprised that he's doing all this looking around just for one more chest instead of going into Sharlock, honestly.
If he's looking for Cole and Rimildar, he's going to be looking for a while because he's already left the area where they're at.
Yeah, and Cole, he doesn't need Cole at all. So
yeah.
I mean, if he's doing all this to find the one last chest that he hasn't seen, I'm just a little surprised by that. Although he has kind of low MP right now to be going into Sharlock. I guess if he was on full resources, I don't know. I would think you'd go in there, you'd hurt more some enemies on your way down, and look for the, open up all those chests and see if the sword is down there.
Yeah, the better play would be to do the grave because there's two chests close to each other, and you know where the grave is. But yeah, now the question is, what is Mr. Holmes thinking? Is he looking for Rimildar? Is he looking for a grind spot? That's the next big question. He has everything else. Is he gonna? Because the only chest he has available right now is the bottom of the grave and Rimildar, and I don't think he's going back to Rimildar again for a while, unless he happens to come across it while walking to Sharlock.
Yeah, and honestly, this is actually one of the things that comes up when you have this relatively early Hurtmore, and you just kind of you Hurtmore your way through a seed. But now he has he has the hand axe. And earlier, sometimes you don't even get a weapon when you have Hurtmore. So now when it comes to this stage of the race, that's a good question. What are you thinking and what are you planning on doing? Because those spike tile enemies are just not really that wonderful when you don't have much of a weapon.
Nope. And Toaster went ahead and got a level, and it looks like he's going to try the Red Dragon. It's just a matter of if he can hit that stop spell or get a lucky crit.
Yeah, level 11 is the level where you pick up Stop Spell, and if he noticed that, I guess maybe that was what prompted him to come over here. I don't remember if he saw the Hurtmore being cast by the Red Dragon, because I think he noped right out of the spike tile. But...
No, he doesn't know it, so he's going to see Hurtmore and probably do it. But Mr. Holmes is on his way to Sharlock. Will he miss Rimildar again? That's the big question. If he hugs the coast, he will, and he's hugging the coast. Uh-oh, he's going to miss Rimildar once again, and he's going to go to Sharlock.
Yep, there it is. This totally makes sense to me that this is the play. There's all the chests are here. I think as a close second, as you mentioned, maybe going into the grave for those two chests. But you know that all the enemies in here are worth a lot of experience. So it's like it's a kind of a dual purpose dive here. You want to make it to the bottom to look for the sword, but in the meanwhile, this is probably a better grind than you could find in Hawksness or in the Swamp Cave.
It's also information. He's gonna see what's in here. But AmazingToaster is fighting the Red Dragon. He noticed the Hurtmore spam. After a few attempts, he is trying to stop spell it. It's gonna be a 50-50 shot. Flip that coin and hope you're lucky before you run out of magic. And he gets it on the second. So he should be able to take out this Red Dragon because he can hit it for into the 20s.
So it took him 2 attempts to land the stop spell. Slightly less lucky than Mr. Holmes was, which seems to be the story of the seed.
Yeah, but then he just sees the heal more, and I'm sure he's wiping his brow, saying, it's a good thing that I'd use stop spell instead of trying to power through it.
Yeah, that's a super, super annoying enemy to face if you don't have stop spell landing. But he is going to get himself... Did he search? Yeah, he searched, okay.
Armor. And he's gonna try to gain a level, kill one more and gain a level, because he's like, I just have to hit it with stop spell, which is a good thing to do. I mean, he's got better armor. He knows he can stop spell it. Take one more.
See, he has Erdrick's sword. He has Erdrick's sword. So this is a way better situation for Toaster than it would have been for Holmes. He could actually stay here and do a grind here with Erdrick's sword. It makes a huge difference here.
Also, it looks like the wizards have sleep also to go with Dragon Lord Breath.
Yeah, Toaster's going to stay here. He got the level, and he is continuing to stay here. So this is the grind choice right now for Toaster. Now, he still has a couple of quest items to round up, but he has found himself a grind. With Erdrick's sword, he can reliably 4-shot this Red Dragon. He's landing stop spell pretty often. It's worth 255 every time, so not a bad play.
Probably 5 to 6 attacks right now more often, but I'm sure he's thinking, I have magic left. I'm going to use it up. to get a couple of kills, and then I'll go look for the caves, because he still needs to find the 2 caves. I mean, once Mr. Holmes clears out Sharlock and realizes there's no sword here, you know, he's going to start to home in a little better on where to go.
Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes is in the second of the 3 zones for Sharlock, and so far both the top and the second zone seem somewhat friendly. I haven't seen much in the way of Armored Knights and Red Dragons. This zone seems to have Stone Man, Golem, and there might have been a Blue Dragon, so... you know, 62 agility is kind of sketchy for Sharlock dives when you have the big red enemies, but that enemy set, not too bad. And here's the third
the top
zone.
2 floors, the scariest thing was a wizard. There is golems too, and he might not never get the fairy flute, so... but the bottom levels, though, have red dragons.
Still has some MP to work with here, so stop spell strats for sure. Doesn't land at that time, but he's got heal more to work with in between. Wisely heals up at 34 HP. Red dragons can hit so much harder than you give them credit for sometimes, so it's so tempting to try and squeeze another attack in when your HP is in the 30s, but
Yeah, and then
he's
they suddenly
playing it
hit you
safe
for
and healing up.
41.
Yep, exactly.
I have Erdrick's armor and a large shield. Hits you for 41. Wait, what?
And you can see how desperately he just wants to get to that treasury now. He's spending all sorts of resources to try and make it through this encounter. And maybe he's going to actually fight it as well, which if it were me, I would probably start trying to run. But at 62 agility, it could take several turns just to run away as well. So, well, he gets the crit, so that settles that.
Yeah, the crit helps. But Toaster is grinding. He's going to hit at least 1 more level. So he's going to take the experience point lead when he's done here. But... he has that issue of finding the 2 caves still. Until he if he finds the mountain cave first, he'll be golden. But if he finds
here's a good example of how this sword is such a nice advantage, even in a Hurtmore Seed. When you have this, enemy, he's going to be going 255 each encounter pretty quickly, whereas Holmes, we saw how long it took him to dispatch that red dragon just now. So,
yep.
Here comes the bad news. Yeah, what's in here anyway?
Which chest has the fighter's ring and which one has the death necklace? Because there's a very good chance at least one of those is in here.
Alright, we have a middle vote from chat, among other things.
There's the death necklace in the $50 chest. And the fighter's ring just above it. Look at that. Left side, both of them.
Boom! 2 for 2. Nothing exciting is going to be on the judges' table. And we know the sword is in Rimuldar, and I wonder if Holmes will actually make his way back up towards the judges' table to look for that chest. He's on kind of low resources, so I'm not sure if he'll make it. But now that's going to leave a weird quandary now. If he doesn't get there, there's going to be that 1 stray chest in Sharlock. There's 2 stray chests in the grave, which might actually be his next strip. And then there's the matter of finding Rimuldar, which he doesn't even know where it is. So, ooh.
I want to say he'll find Rimuldar fairly quickly if he continues searching. I mean, he's gotten very unlucky not finding it so far, so...
That's a thing that used to come up on the old maps that you used to play Highspirits, when it was just a big block of a continent, right? And things could be right in the middle. So if you're going along the coastlines, you just miss all these towns and caves. Nowadays the maps are a lot more thin paths here and there, and so to have something in the middle where you take both coastline and miss it both times is kind of unusual. It just happens to be right in the middle of things here. Just missed it both ways.
Pretty much dot matrix printer your way across the land in the old maps. Now you follow coasts, usually you find everything, but Rimuldar is kind of in the center a little bit. It's sneaky or hidden away.
And it's just got that 1 chest that, he was just hoping it wasn't important, probably. And he was clearly looking around for it specifically, because what else would he have been looking for after he found Sharlock? But, just not finding it right away, and decides to go into Sharlock, full clear. And he actually is still alive and is just a couple of stairways away from getting to the judges' table. And he's actually running from some battles as well, which means it's going to put him further behind with this experience. As he's running from all these battles, the Toaster's getting 255 for encounter here.
Yeah, but the big question mark, though, is when is Toaster going to go find those 2 caves? I mean, he still has to search, he still has to find 2 caves before he can actually get the items needed. And he doesn't even have an experience lead yet. because Mr. Holmes was able to get a bunch of experience along the way.
Fairy water and just the circle of just frustration here as Mr. Holmes attempts a death warp, and the wizard should oblige. Got the DLT breath.
And he's not killing it anytime soon, so not with that hand axe at 65 strength.
Sleep and DL2 breath at some sort of frequency for that wizard. So yeah, you're right. That zone, that could be a potential gotcha no matter, you know, how good your stats are. That particular combination can send you home. See how that plays out later.
Normally you see a wizard and you're like, yeah, this is what we like. By the way, he's gold grinding a silver shield, or at least a flame sword.
Ah, he did see that flame sword. That's right. I think he's going to go with the flame sword here and hope that, you know, he can win the game with it. Because he just hasn't found the Erdrick sword, and I think that's what he's grinding for. I don't even know if he saw a silver shield, did he? But I know for sure that he saw that flame sword. I think it was in Breckenary when he bought the large shield.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever actually saw the silver shield. But I'm pretty sure he saw the flame sword, and... No, he's going for silver shield at least, because he went beyond flame sword money. Is he gonna take both? Yep, he's gonna go for both.
We still have just the 65 strength. The strength score is in the white still. So it's hard to imagine a scenario where you could actually win the game with the flame sword in an efficient manner here. But I mean, actually, he's leaving the possibility open now.
He's not getting a flame sword. He's getting a silver shield and a broadsword. He doesn't have money for both. He's going. I wonder if he never saw a flame sword, because I know a flame sword was in Cole or Rimmeldar. Rimmeldar had a flame sword. I don't know if anywhere else did, though.
Oh, I thought it was the Breckenary shop where he bought the large shield, but maybe it was where Toaster found the large shield. Which shop was that?
It was Rimmeldar, because Rimmeldar had all the good stuff. But yeah, I think he's going for silver shield and a broadsword. But, you know, we'll see what he does. Does he hug the coast and miss Rimmeldar again? Or he's going inland a little bit. It's just to the... I believe it's just to the right a little bit, where he didn't go again.
He's taking the same path towards Charlock. I think he's going to go past Charlock now. And what is the town down here that he's making a beeline towards? I don't know if it's... Yeah.
There's no town down there, as far as I know. Well... Yeah, I don't think there's a town down there.
Alright, he's carrying around a lot of gold for there to be no town. I don't know. But you're right, though. I think all the towns are cluttered.
Cole or Rimmeldar.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Okay. And just hoping that there's something to buy in those towns. Meanwhile, look at how much longer this Red Dragon battle takes than how Toaster's been grinding them. So he's doing 10 or 12 damage at a time here with this hand axe. It's just such a big difference here.
Yeah, here's hoping that Toaster saw that level 13 and he's be like, okay, I'm only strength behind. A little bit of
by the
way,
way,
now I gotta go find the items.
Ahead. Yeah, Toaster's 500 points ahead. Well, Holmes just cut that in half with the Red Dragon kill. But yeah, so it's a race to see if Mr. Holmes finds Rimmeldar or Toaster finds the caves that have the quest items. That's whoever finds those things first, might have a little bit of an edge. But it sort of seems to be anyone's race now that the experience has evened off.
Yep, and I think Mr. Holmes is going to find Cole here coming up. If he stays to the right side, he should find Cole. And then the question is, does he go looking for Rimmeldar?
Yeah, definitely. And Holmes has got to be panicking at this point, because that was a pretty big dive that he did through Charlock, not necessarily even fighting all the enemies, and the sword wasn't there. So, and it's been a while since he's had everything. He's got the rainbow drop probably 20 minutes ago now. He's just looking around for the sword this whole time. He's got to be like, wow, I'm falling behind.
Yeah, he's just looped around Rimmeldar 3 times at least so far. But Toaster is on the hunt now for the caves. We'll see how long it takes for him to find both caves. And hoping that he finds the mountain cave first, because if he finds the grave first, he's going to dive it.
He'll dive it, yeah.
And we don't want him to do that, because that's a waste of time.
Yep, the harp is on the top 3 chests. And then the bottom, we don't know what's down there, but it can't be anything good.
And Mr. Holmes nopes out of Cole without checking the shop to use any of his money. I think Holmes does have a lead too, but it's really going to come down to when he finds Rimmeldar. I'm kind of shocked that he hasn't gone back to the grave yet, because he knows there's 2 chests there.
It's a small thing, but I appreciate the discipline there to like not take the time to check that shop when, you know, buying things is not really the priority for Holmes. He really wants Rimmeldar now, and like, he might check the shop in Rimmeldar while he's there, but
yeah, what's the point of
to not make
gold, though?
He knows that the best thing in Cole would be the flute, and just why take the time to go through that town when you can just continue your hunt for Rimmeldar.
I mean, that's the only way you can answer that is if he's seen what he's looking for, whether it's a shield or the flame sword. He might just be fighting, and if he gets a level and he has an amazing amount of strength, he might just go buy a flame sword and dive.
Yeah, that's what I originally thought was going on. It's just hoping to finish with the flame sword as a backup plan, but to make the red dragon grinds with the flame sword palatable. I don't know. Now, he's just absolutely scouring the map, just wondering what he missed, because a lot of times you get in this situation and you feel confident that you've seen everything now. So where do you start looking around on the map when you feel like you've covered it all?
Yep, and Toaster finds the grave first, so he's probably going to dive it.
All right, so here's the shop check.
Does buy the flame sword. I'm wondering if he's giving up on finding the sword right now, or he just wants the weapon for when he's fighting.
Yeah, it's tricky because now he has the flame sword and he could go resume his hunt, or he could resume his grind over in Hawksness, just grind more red dragons now that he has a flame sword to work with. But then he'd be kind of giving up on the hunt for Rimmeldar and the Erdrick sword. Like, what do you do if? And now it's almost like, how much time does it take? If you, let's say it takes 1 extra level with the flame sword, you might be able to get that in 5 or 6 minutes. And who knows how long it's going to take you to find Rimmeldar? You don't even know where it is. So, what a weird situation now.
I think if he keeps following the coast, he might miss it again.
And Toaster is diving the grave, by the way. Found the grave first. I assume that he has the silver harp in his possession now, and he's going further down and won't find anything too interesting, but should get this out of the way in the next minute or so.
I feel like
closing in just a point or two away from level 14, and we're closing in on Dragon Lord eligible stats as well.
Yep, I think... Oh, he's going to dive. No, that's the mountain cave, so... But I think he's going to find a cursed belt down here, because I don't think we've seen one yet. And there's one out there. By the way, the mountain cave is directly east of the grave, so MisterHomes dove the grave. If Toaster gets out of here and goes directly east, he's going to have all of his items. This might be closer
look
than
at this.
Seems
Wait,
right now.
Look at this. Holmes is deciding to go into the grave before continuing to look for Rimmeldar, because there's 2 more chests in here that he hasn't seen. So he's thinking the sword might be down here. Oh my word.
He's taking the odds. There's 2 chests outside of one in Rimmeldar that's afloat, so he's taking the odds. He's going.
This is a close race now, because as you said, there's a good chance Toaster's going to find Mountain Cave almost immediately after clearing this, and who knows how long it'll take MisterHomes to find Rimmeldar for the sword. And I mean, and the experience race is basically even. Level 14 didn't yield enough strength to win the game right now, but we're getting close to go time, and the experience is even. Whoever finds that last location that they need is going to have the advantage now.
Yeah, there is one potential advantage out there still for MisterHomes, and that's what's level 15. If level 15 is 15 health and 2 strength, he already has the death necklace. Then Toaster has to decide, do I want to pray that it's inside the treasure?
Yeah, or if it's just like 15 strength or something where he can win with the flame sword, then then he won't need to go for Erdrick's sword if he gets, if he gets 14 and 15 and is still looking for Rimmeldar. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, so we'll see what Toaster does after he leaves here. If he goes directly east, all he has to do is go east a screen or 2. He's going to find the mountain cave.
I just feel the way that this all went for MisterHomes now, like I feel like he's probably confident that he's going to lose this race now. Like to have everything go like hurt more, no problem.
Toaster is going
so he might
left.
Wow. But for Mr. Holmes to have, gone so quickly through the first several levels with Hurt More strats, rounding up all sorts of items very quickly, and now to just hit this wall where you're going 25 to 30 minutes without finding the last chest in the game. Well, I mean, he must be just sure that this is, just disaster. And yet, I feel like, he still has a very good chance to win this race. It's pretty even. It's whoever finds that last location. Toaster needs Mountain Cave, and Mr. Holmes needs Rumaldar.
Yeah, Toaster's not going in the right direction, though, so hopefully the land up here ends and it loops back around to the right. Oh, now he is going right. If he just keeps going right a little bit farther, he will find it. And then it comes down to Holmes knows where the sword is. It's just a matter of how does he get there.
So Mr. Holmes does now full clear.
Yep, and here comes the mountain cave right outside the map, so,
Yeah, the continent does kind of all connect in different ways.
Oh, he finds it!
Oh, there it is. And I think Toaster's coming up on Mountain Cave.
I'm sorry. He has to keep going south. I thought that was the one, but yeah.
Oh, look at what Toaster has.
Yeah, Toaster has it. That was easy to find as long as he went right from the grave. It's going to come down to how long it takes Mr. Holmes to find the sword and where the grind is.
Mr. Holmes has found many ways to loop around and find Breckenary from many different directions, and somehow Rumaldar is probably right around here, and he just keeps missing it. Oh,
I know, this is going to be frustrating for him if he loses, knowing that he donutted, Rumaldar at least 3 times so far.
Yeah, and all that time that Toaster had the sword, he gained that experience lead. He was like 1,300 points behind at one point, so now it's just getting further ahead. Holmes is going to take on this golem for 255, so that cuts the lead in half again. Toaster's 30 seconds away from getting the stones, and we assume that he knows where both of the necessary caves are, so he'll have a little bit of homework to do to get the drop. But while he's doing that, Mr. Holmes really needs to find Rumaldar, otherwise Toaster could have first run into Sharlock here. And we're getting close to where you might actually consider fighting your way through Sharlock, although the defense
I think he'll
is kind
grind
of
at least 1 level on Red Dragons. But he is go mode now. He has what he needs. It's going to take a little bit of time to get the drop. He's probably going to search for the Fighter's Ring.
Oh, there was a curse
in here. Yeah, that's where it was. We missed it earlier.
Toaster, what is he looking for now? I guess he hasn't seen Fighter's Ring and Death Necklace, so he's going to go ahead and full clear the just in case. And no good. Just gold.
Okay, this is where it is now. It's pretty much even experience. Toaster has everything he needs. He just needs to make the drop, and Mr. Holmes just needs to run into this town.
And what's interesting now is Toaster. Oh, did he find it? Man, this is a close race. Now, what's interesting about him clearing that dungeon too is now Toaster has seen every chest, so he knows now that the Death Necklace has to be in Sharlock. So if this next level happens to be a big HP gain, it won't be on his mind like, oh, I missed the Death Necklace somewhere. He'll know that he can just go into the treasury in Sharlock on his way to beating the game, and he can pick up the Death Necklace en route. So he's seen every chest now. He's going to go ahead and do his trade-ins.
He's getting some keys because he doesn't have any keys left to get the sword, but he's going to get the sword with about the same experience point lead. The only difference now is he has the knowledge and the Death Necklace and Fighter's Ring. So now it comes down to the grind. Who's going to die when? Who's going to grind where?
And Toaster does have to get back over to the Rainbow Drop Cave. That could give him just like a minute, that could give Mr. Holmes about a minute to get started, earlier and retake that experience lead here. So close.
Actually, I think
the
Rainbow Drop Cave is kind of in the direction of Sharlock. You just go north a little bit instead of south. So
okay, so he'll just resume his grind first and get it on the way then. Okay. Wow, look how close this is. 100 points separates the two runners, and they both have everything now.
Now, is Holmes going to grind on the way down, hoping that level 15 is the magic
Right, that's
level?
what I was getting at just a few minutes ago, is maybe it's time to just dive and grind into Sharlock. He knows what's in here. He knows there's no red dragons or armored knights. So despite the fact that he's not defense breaking anything, he might give this a whirl here. He's got full resources. 110 MP is a lot. So
Yep. He was also next to Sharlock, so it makes sense for him. Toaster was next to Hawksnest.
no, I totally like this aggressive play from MisterHomes. It's just that it's going to be a little tricky to hold on to this. That, you know, all these enemies are damaging him. So he got the crit there, but mostly he's not even going to be two-shotting a Star Wyvern because attack power is still pretty low. So when you're taking multiple hits from things like a Star Wyvern, it's a little tricky to hold on to all these heal mores, but right now he's just fighting everything. Like, I'm not sure if I would be fighting the Blue Dragon if I was picking and choosing fights here, but maybe he thinks that he can just outside and go back to Rimuldar and redive.
Yeah, I think if he's serious about hitting this, especially since he's only 800 away, you got to heal up between fights. So run away from the easy fights. But if he's spamming hurt mores and whatnot, he's either expecting a major level or he's going to burn some magic. Yep. And level up and then leave if he can.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is looking more, like you said, it's possible with a huge level up that he'll just continue on down, but mostly I think he is planning on outsiding. Rimuldar was a pretty quick trip to Sharlock from where he just was, so interesting the difference in the grind choices here. MisterHomes with the Sharlock grind, AmazingToaster with this Red Dragon grind, and so far Holmes is extending the lead just slightly, but still too close to call with that 255. It's about even once again, so.
Yeah, Toaster had some bad luck hitting a stop spell on this last dragon, so it slowed him down a lot.
Ooh, and that's the other thing, because you pretty much have to use stop spell since the Red Dragon does use heal more pretty consistently. So even if you were okay with taking the hurt more damage, getting that heal more from the Red Dragon just is way too slow. So you have to land that stop spell if you're going to do this grind.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Holmes is getting wombo comboed. Oh, he woke up.
The wizard has arrived.
If he would have Dragon Lord Breath one of those last two attacks, he would have got wombo comboed to death.
Ugh. That's ugly, and that's a potential thing that could happen on your end game dive, your final dive. So just, you know, if they get a little more agility, I'm sure that they would appreciate that as well. Agility in the mid-70s is a little bit sketchy for Sharlock dives, although this one, besides those wizards, it's not too tough, right? There's no Red Dragons or Armored Knights that we saw so far.
Only on the bottom floors that we know there's Red Dragons.
Oh, right, down in the bottom zone. Yep.
Yeah, the zone that seems to be the highest encounter rate when you don't want
right.
it to be.
Yeah. Every step through those final desert tiles right before the mini-boss, which we don't know what the mini-boss is yet either.
And Holmes just finally got off the first zone. He's been getting beaten around up there.
We're watching this experience lead kind of go back and forth. It's still about still almost dead even here. Wow.
Yeah,
what a
they're
race.
both going to level close to the same time. Toaster needs one more Red Dragon after this. And depends on what Mr. Holmes gets after this. But Holmes knows that there's a town nearby now that he's finally found Rimuldar. So if he gets what he needs when he levels up here, he's just going to outside and grab what he needs and finish it. Although he is burning all of his herbs, which is bad when you've got to go ways to get herbs.
Especially, yeah, because Rimuldar is the shop that he was closest here, which doesn't have an herb shop. And, ooh.
Stone
kind of taking a risk there with the Stone Man.
But this is going to be his level.
And this is going to be Toaster's level here, too.
Yeah. And,
7 power. Comment from chat, is it possible that the Fighter's Ring will make the difference on one of these levels? And I think we just saw a level where it might be the difference.
So
it's pretty borderline. So Toaster not having the ring now for level 15,
Holmes can win this at 15. It's not a guarantee for sure. But it is possible to win this at 15.
Yeah, I think this is an exact situation. I think this is an exact situation where you need that ring. And that's like sometimes about 45 seconds to go in and out of that treasury because getting encounters and everything else. So that's an extra thing if Toaster wants to go for it. That could slow him down just going for that ring at the end. Because at 125 attack power, this is really a no-go, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's
close.
possible too, but it's like you need to give it one more turn.
Yeah, you'd have to bank on a couple of extra double attacks. And with 119 health and 78 or 77 agility, 78 defense,
Right.
that could be a stretch.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
you'd be looking for good luck at that point. It's not really necessarily expected. But I feel like both runners would have to go here for the aggressive play, but MisterHomes is still fighting enemies and seems to be wanting another level here. Maybe not too thrilled with the agility score, although he knows what's in Sharlock. He saw there were red dragons on the bottom. I don't know. What do you think, Highspirits? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's looking for another level here.
Either that or he's going to burn his magic, getting as close as he can to 16, and then dive and grind. And Toaster is going.
Yeah, and do you think, Highspirits, that the fact that he saw red dragons on the bottom and, only 77 agility, like what's Holmes thinking about here to maybe get the extra level? You think that's part of it is that he saw the red dragons on the bottom zone?
I think it's just purely too close and too dangerous. You've got to rely on luck in the case that he's in. He needs a little bit of luck to pull it off. It's not a free win at 15. You need a couple of extra doubles and you need some good hits to pull it off.
You don't know what's on the mini boss. That could cost you a heal more or something if it's nasty. I don't mind Toaster going for it, although maybe Toaster will be fighting his way down. We'll have to wait and see, because Toaster knows the death necklace has to be down here and maybe is hoping for the fighter's ring also. Now he's just doing loops around, so
he wants to grind some on the top floor, get some knowledge, get some experience, but he wants to go for 16 also. I think this is where Holmes is going to get the advantage because he now has a better grind.
But yeah, why would you switch your grind to this Sharlock top floor?
I don't know why you would do that. I think maybe he was expecting to get more experience along the walk here to get closer to a level. I don't know, but he wants another level.
Yeah, I thought he was just going to be aggressive and go for it. I wonder if maybe he was going to go for it and then he redid the math in his mind and was just like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't go for it. It could be that he just literally changed his mind right before walking in here. So yeah, now MisterHomes with the better grind, clearly just extending that lead now. So it was so close up until the change of grind here.
Well, there is another difference is if Toaster can keep it semi-close, he's much closer to Sharlock than Holmes is. He's only 1,000 experience behind Holmes. So
yeah, and with any substantial level up, Toaster will no longer have to go get the fighter's ring. So, that eliminates that part of the journey through there to the treasury. So you're right. Maybe just being geographically closer to Sharlock here might make this a bit closer. Feels like Holmes just got out to a small lead here in this last few minutes. Yeah,
taking the grind here on the Blue Dragons was the best choice.
And so now Holmes is almost out of resources while Toaster has plenty of MP to work with. So now that gives Toaster maybe a half a minute to try and cut into this lead.
Yeah, but Holmes is only 2 kills away or so from the level, so he doesn't need any more resources than what he has.
Oh, you're right. He was closer to it than I thought. Yeah, okay.
Toaster keeps finding Wizard, which means he's not getting experience.
And is Holmes going to go find herbs along the way somewhere, or is he just going to go?
I think he knows he's close to herbs, but it's a question of does he feel like he needs to.
Alright, the all-important stat gains coming up here right after this. Okay.
I think he got back attacked, or he wants to level on the way there now.
It's so brutal to just be one fight away. And now you're getting the wrong encounters, and now you're going to potentially go to an inn without getting the level.
And Toaster got Wombo comboed. Back home.
Oh, and here's the herb shop. So might as well take care of this now. You could even use a couple of herbs, and then go back out onto the world and fight one more enemy before taking the inn here. I don't know. It's a little annoying to be one fight away from the level and have to take it in.
I don't think he needs to worry about getting another heal more. He can probably level on the way there. And if he gets nothing but a bunch of magic, he can stop at Rimmildar to use the inn. But realistically, 2 MP is enough for him to win with the heal mores he has. 3 is, I believe 3 will definitely make it a win. And Toaster's back to the Axe Knight grind on the world map. Oh, he doesn't want to fight the blue dragons.
This Druid Lord isn't going to be quite enough, but now surely one fight away. Even the skeleton will do it.
That is true. He would have to find Rimildar again, okay?
Oh, it's only 1 more power and 2 HP, Highspirits. No Death Necklace, and just barely any more attack power.
That's all he needs. 14 is perfectly fine. He can go with this.
It's just so, like, you took all this time to get 1 more level. That's not exactly what you were looking for, but it does make things just a little bit easier.
Though. That's another heal more. That's huge. And he has a couple of heals he can spend on the way down.
Yeah, and 128.
He didn't need a whole lot.
128 instead of 127 for attack power is a pretty big jump also, actually. So that particular 1 power bump. Yeah, that's a good
another damage right there.
So Holmes likely is going to go on this level. By my chart, we have a heal more to spare now all of a sudden, and with 120 HP, could eke out a double attack somewhere along the way. So even if he has to burn a heal more or 2 against those red dragons on the bottom floor, he still has a good shot. And maybe is... Oh, I thought he was going straight in without taking an in, but now he takes a right turn, and he's going to go look for the in before going in. And Toaster is less than 1,000 points away.
Well, Holmes has to go this way, because this is how you get the Sherlock.
Well, I thought Sherlock was more west. Okay, I got turned around from where he was.
It is when you go south a ways, and then
so you got to go east and south. Yeah, these new maps get a little windy.
Now, can he find Rimildar again so he can use the inn? Assuming he wants to, he might not bother because he still hasn't used the heal one.
Well, he's 1 heal more down compared to what his max is right now. But maybe that's fine. He did refresh his herb stock. And he's going for it now.
He is down a heal more.
Yeah, he's down the 1 heal more that he gained on the level up. He never took it in after the level up, so...
Yep, so he's not going to have that backup in case things get hairy. Toaster will probably level on the way down, but that's going to put him a couple of minutes farther behind.
Yeah,
or
so
he's going to level on the top floor.
This is kind of close with Holmes's current numbers, and we did see the red dragons on the bottom floor. Now they do spam, spells, and Holmes, I think he has 1 additional stop spell that he can use before, cutting into his MP total here for heal mores.
Yeah, the wizards are going to be the big question mark, because
here we go.
He just got put to sleep and Dragon Lord breathed once, there goes 1/3 of his health.
Yeah, I got to get off this zone. I don't think we saw wizards further down below, did we?
Bottom floor.
And
zone 3 also has wizards.
80 agility, I got to think we're a pretty strong favorite to run from wizards, but it just takes that 1 run block followed by the wombo combo, so not out of the woods yet.
That agility is a question mark. It doesn't exist, okay?
So Holmes walks right past AmazingToaster on that top floor. Sherlock gives him a high 5. Heads further down below while Toaster is doing circles up here on the top floor. He's just a few fights away from getting 16 himself.
Yeah, but he's not getting any fights. And they're all wizards, so that's not helping him out. This is not the best grind spot with as many wizards as there are.
Yeah, I'm so surprised that he went for this changing grind when he was doing so well on that red dragon grind before, but oh well. It's, he didn't even know what was in here at the time, and then now that he sees what's in here, it'll probably take too long to switch back, So he's just committed to it.
I wonder if he was hoping there was red dragons or armored knights or axe knights, things that he could actually kill.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's committed to it, and he's gonna go...
Have we seen an armored knight yet?
I actually don't remember seeing any armored knights in the whole seed. That's funny.
So that must be the last trap tile.
Must be the mini boss, yeah. With who knows what ability.
To come with sleep and heal more or Dragon Lord breath or something stupid.
Certainly possible. That's always an extra factor is that mini boss.
Heal and hurt on the armored knight because he's too afraid to come out.
And it was interesting too, Mr. Holmes didn't have the flute for a really long time, but did finally get that last couple of towns and does have the flute just in case it happens to be a gold. But he
Yeah,
has
Holmes
maintained all of his MP so far, hasn't found any of those red dragons yet.
No, it's been a pretty easy walk. Outside of a couple wizards, it's been a pretty easy walk. He's had no issue.
So bottom floor for Mr. Holmes, top floor for AmazingToaster. He can get level 16 on this blue dragon if he is successful.
Yep. Holmes finds his first red dragon, runs first try, of course. So the question is, what's the trap tile? Is it going to be something insanely annoying? Like a red dragon. Thankfully, he has a stop spell, so as long as he doesn't miss, he doesn't lose a heal.
We should start voting in chat on what we think the trap tile is going to be. There's 6 choices. It is
I
a
bet you it's a
golem, so that
golem.
flute is going to be a factor.
Yep,
Holmes
finding Cole actually worked in his favor.
Yeah, he did pick it up from Cole. He was looking for Rimildar, happened to find Cole, noped out of it, and then on the second trip around looking for Rimildar, decided to check the shop in Cole, and then was like, you know what, while I'm here, I'll grab the flute, and now it's useful.
In a little bit of poetic justice, Toaster was running around in circles trying to find Rimildar.
Yeah, I'd love to see where that is on this map. It's been pretty tough to find.
I think Lorgan actually posted it in spoilers.
Very good. So it must be right in the middle of a large landmass, which is relatively uncommon nowadays. So multiple usings of the flute there, and Mr. Holmes is through the mini-boss with full MP, or as much MP as he came in here with. Uses that regular heal and hangs onto the herbs. Here we go.
He's going to need a little help to get by this, but he still has a pretty good chance of winning.
Yep, the fighter's ring that he took out of the Charlock Treasury earlier certainly coming into play here. 128 attack power, significantly better here than 126. And pretty good job getting through DL1 with a chance at 2 attacks to start.
So,
I missed what happened there.
Dragon Lord 2 has between 150 and 165 health. With Mr. Holmes' current defense, he can get meleeed for up to 50 damage. So that's something he's going to have to keep an eye out on. His damage range will be 7 to 14. So he wants to see those teens. Anything less than teens is really bad, and I've seen a lot of 9s so far.
Oh, AmazingToaster was on his way into Charlock for his final dive and got slept and wrecked by a wizard. Did not wake up. So he'll have to redive. He had a chance if Mr. Holmes somehow was unsuccessful. Toaster would have the next opportunity for the Dragon Lord, and he had an extra heal more in his pocket. But all is lost with the wombo combo there for the wizard.
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes for Holmes. So far, damage is looking fairly good for him. He is getting the teens quite a bit. Only a couple of 9s.
Yeah, 7 to 14 range, you're going to want to see double digits more and less single digits.
Yeah, he's getting some great rolls. There's another 14. He's had a bunch of 12s. I mean, he's hitting above average. That's all he needs to do with no issues at all.
Yep.
Although he hasn't been really rolling 7 or 8s either, so this is going very well for him. He's in good shape.
And he hasn't been close to the danger zone with any decisions either. He could get hit for 50 in theory. But just because he has the extra HP to work with, he's usually not in that zone. He's kind of way above or way below 48 when it comes decision time. There's a 7, but I think he's still in really good shape. Toaster is back in Charlock, just in case there's a miss menu here. Toaster would have the lead at that point. Well, here's a 47 and obvious heal more situation for Mr. Holmes, so no problem there.
Oh, and he just got hit for 26, but he didn't get a double there, but I think he's still fine. I think he's got enough attacks to do it.
And going to use the last heal more in the reserves. Probably knew that he could, maybe win on this next attack, but no, it's a low roll, so didn't get it. 1 attack to go.
GG.
All right, let's all get our GGs for Mr. Holmes. He's going to walk back to the king sub 90 minutes for a seed that gave him a little bit of issues towards the end.
Yep, Mr. Holmes finishes in first place with a time of 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 45 seconds. He will be moving on to the quarterfinals, to the round of 8.
I can't wait to see if he joins us right now. He's probably going to be like, I can't believe I just won that race with what just happened to me. I mean, it was a little bit, it had to be frustrating just looking for that sword that whole time.
And the Dragon Lord rolled max health at 165.
Yeah, so good job to use the heal more on that final turn. Just ended up with the low roll on the 8, and it wasn't enough. Dragon Lord pretty beefy in this one.
Okay, I gotta know. What did the Armored Knight have, since we never got to see the Armored Knight? Sleep and Dragon Lord Fire, but only 25%.
Wombo combo, though.
Yeah, the mini Wombo combo, the Wombo combo light.
Yep.
So if they would have been around, there could have been an issue, considering how difficult they would be to run from.
Yeah, or if it happened to be on the mini boss, that could have been a surprise. But no, we got the golem, and that flute came into play. If Mr. Holmes didn't have that flute, remember, he came all the way down to the last attack on the Dragon Lord 2 fight. So if he had to burn a heal more against that golem, this could have been a different story here.
Yep, and Toaster's in the final zone, and he's already failing to run to Red Dragon, something that Mr. Holmes didn't have to actually deal with, because he got away from all of them.
Yep, so Mr. Holmes moving on to the quarterfinals to face the winner of Beta Strep and Bobski, which is going to be happening later on in the week. So that is going to be one to look out for.
Oh yeah, we're getting close to the quarterfinals for next week, and then after that, the semifinals and the finals. The semifinals and the finals will be best of 3s, and then the third place match will be just a single match, 1v1. And it looks like Toaster is going to be going for the fighter's ring.
Yep, really heads up play. I like this move. Just knew that the math was necessary for the fighter's ring, but didn't go get the extra level. You know, sometimes people forget that the fighter's ring exists when you go this long without it, and then you go grind a whole extra level, when really you could just come in here to the treasury and grab the ring. So good play by Toaster here.
And GG, Mr. Holmes.
Thanks. Oh my god. I am stressed beyond human belief right now.
So it seemed like you were going to try and win without the sword. You were just going to maybe win with the hand axe. It took you a really long time to find that sword. Wow.
Do you want to know how many times you donated Rimmeldar before you found it?
Did you actually count?
3 times you circled around it. Completely circled around it without ever finding it.
Oh yeah, that's brutal. Like, as soon as I find it, I'm like, wait, what? I mean, I'm glad, but what?
Yeah, walking across the coast like you did to get to Sharlock means it was just outside of range every single time.
So it was just north then, right?
It was, yeah, just northeast, I would say. If you walked away from the coast just a few squares at most, you would have seen it every time you walked to Sharlock.
Yeah, that would have been smart, hey?
Don't hug the coast.
Anything for the likes, right?
Well, Toaster is now fighting the Golem. He will be going to the Dragon Lord fight shortly.
Yeah, good news with all that extra exploration, Holmes, is that the fighter's ring that you got out of the treasury did prove to be pretty useful, and the flute that you picked up while you were looking for Rimmeldar and you bumped into Cole, that proved to be pretty useful also.
Yeah, the first time I went in, I thought the town I found was Rimmeldar, and I forgot that I hadn't found Cole yet. So I was like, oh yes, finally, Rimmeldar, I'm going to get a chest out of the way. And I walk in, and it's Cole, and I'm just so disgusted that I immediately walk right out. And eventually I'm like, okay, no, I need to go back in there. The fairy flute might matter.
And you were carrying all that gold around at the time. It's like, oh, he's just not interested in the shop here.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I got a flame sword out of it, but there might have been a silver shield somewhere. Maybe in Cantlin at the bottom. I didn't check that one. Or in Rimildar too, I guess. I didn't check that either.
Toaster is going into the Dragon Lord fight. He has one more heal more than you did, but he starts off with hitting 9s. But he did get a double to start, so he's in slightly decent shape.
This is at 16, correct?
Yeah, you, believe it or not, you both hit 15 at pretty much the same time. The only difference was he needed to go pick up the Rainbow Drop, which you could do on the way to Sharlock. And you were leaving Sharlock from the diet, from grinding, and you went to the blue dragon trap tile, and he went to Sharlock to grind, and that was the difference. Is your grind was much better than him running away from wizards on the top floor.
Yeah, it's really weird. Those wizards, I think the first couple times I saw them, yeah, I saw they had sleep, but it wasn't until like the third or fourth time I actually saw they had Dragon Lord breath. This is well pre-Sharlock. And then all of a sudden they just had it all the time.
So what's like the level of panic when you make the decision to go all the way through Sharlock and you go through that treasury and the sword's not there?
It's not a level, it's just panic as soon as I don't see the sword. And then yeah, there's just
maximum panic. That had to be just like, oh no.
And I have clinical anxiety. So even like after I finished and saw I won, I had like a full-blown panic attack where I just kind of like put my hands above my head and was just crumpled into a ball like, oh my god, it's finally over.
And to make things even more fun, the Dragon Lord rolled 165 health.
Yeah, I figured it had to be because on my second last attack I had done 163, so it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, Toaster's not doing so well. Oh wait, no, he's good. He just finished off the Dragon Lord. I think I missed a couple of things there, but GG to Toaster. Not too far.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to discussing it because based on what my chat was telling me after the race, it was... I mean, I got out to a big lead, and then Toaster found the sword, and then I didn't.
Yeah, it was definitely, like Highspirits said, it was dead even going into level 15, where you had one level left to go. We were wondering if either of you were going to try it on 15, or if you were going to dive and grind, and then you both just went with different grinds, and that was the difference.
Yeah, I mean, geez, as soon as I hit level 16... I got MisterHomes encounter rated beyond belief. I'm not sure if anyone was picking that up, but because I just got it on the other side of the swamp cave, because I just healed in Garinham, and I got, I think, 9 encounters in the swamp cave. Just like, oh dear God, this is not the time for this. It's just ridiculous.
And is this AmazingToaster?
Morning.
GG.
That was an interesting one. I knew I was in trouble once I didn't stop and get that level that had hurt more on it. Once I finally got that level, I was like, ooh, I could be behind.
Yeah, that was the first thing I was going to ask you about. That was the big part in the beginning, is that it just, with all the exploration that you guys were successful doing early on, MisterHomes got a couple of decent kills along the way and got the hurt more level, and you just seemed like you had stalled out and just couldn't quite get to that level for hurt more, so he did get a head start on that. But the good news is that you found the sword quite a bit earlier than he did, so it was actually very close towards the end.
Yeah, with the sword and the armor, I was content to sit there and grind on those dragons for a while. What was their stop spell resist? Do we have that?
50%, 8 out of 16.
Okay,
That would be my guess, yeah.
That explains why it was working fine some of the time, and then just you couldn't hit it other times, because it was a complete toss.
Yeah, and I assume if it was just the hurt more, then you wouldn't have worried about it so much. But because it had a pretty decent heal more, I think it was at least 50%. Then you just had to land the stop spell. It would be too slow to not do it.
Yeah, it was too much to not. I mean, yeah, if it was just the hurt more, I could have thought of fighting through it. But because they had the heal more, I was like, you have to get that stop spell on them to fight those, and that was the best thing to fight for a while.
And so what was the decision on the last level? You ended up doing top floor Sharlock for a while. You switched grinds. You were doing pretty well on the Red Dragon, and then decided to get the last level on Sharlock.
I kind of wanted to see what was in there, and then I was just like, okay, I'm here. Let's try and do this. And then I made the mistake of trying to fight Wizard.
Yeah, the wizards weren't nice, but they like to sleep and kill you. The race was insanely close. You both hit 15, probably within 30 seconds of each other. But where the big difference was Holmes leaving and fighting the Blue Dragons, and you staying on the top floor of Sharlock, and he ended up getting 1,000-point experience lead, and took it from there.
Yeah, I can see that. I spent too much time walking back to Sharlock twice.
Yes, I am the wrong person to talk to about walking around too much. I got the sword literally the last chest that I searched. I did not find Rimmeldar probably until about 15 minutes before I finished. I basically circled around it over and over and over again.
It was actually the last chest in the game for you, right? You had full cleared Sharlock and even the judge's table, and it was literally the last chest.
Oh, geez.
Yes, that was fun.
He successfully donated the Rimmeldar multiple times until finding, and that's what really caught you up, is the fact that he was searching over and over and over again, and then like at pretty much the same exact time you got the Stones of Sunlight for Go mode, he picked up the sword, and it's like, okay, you're practically tied in experience. It all was going to come down to the grind.
Yeah, and then I just gave up on Hawksness early. I probably should have gone back and gotten 16 there.
Yeah, the Blue Dragon was probably the best grind overall, just because you didn't have to worry about stop spell. But even the Red Dragon grind would have been good enough to make it an insanely close.
Oh well.
Yeah, and then about half of that time difference was the Wombo combo you got on your final dive. You ended up finding a wizard that just didn't want to play nice in the top zone there, so you had to redive. But yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, and it was very doable because we had high magic and a fairly decent HP pool, so you could go down with a little less attack power. I got the ring just for safety.
But it was still insanely close at the end there. It could have gone either way. We were very hyped, so was chat, trying to figure out who was going to do the best grind and who was going to take it. Any last thoughts from either of you on this seed, as Mr. Holmes is going to continue in the tournament onto the round of 8, and Toaster is going to be taking a small break?
I'm down to one tournament now, so I only have to focus on Zelda 1.
Oh yeah, did you win yesterday?
Oh no, that was Zelda 2. I'm out of that one now.
Ah, dang it. Well, I mean, thanks for the awesome race. I'm glad it was insanely close, even if it gave me probably 1,000 gray hairs. But I really appreciated your flexibility with my sickness, and glad we could make this work out.
No problem. This is a pretty decent time for me anyway. So, good luck to you going forward.
Thanks so much. I do really appreciate that.
And thank you very much, Mr. Holmes and AmazingToaster, for that race. Make sure to follow our runners. Give them some love. Toaster runs several randomizers, especially Zelda. And Mr. Holmes is usually one of the top 2 or 3 Dragon Warrior randomizer runners for many, many years. But I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. What do you say, up to NG?
Yep, absolutely. Fantastic race by you both. And I believe there's only one race left for this round, which will be same time tomorrow night. Or no, not tomorrow night, 2 nights from now on this channel, 9 p.m., right? Bobski and Beta Strap, and that's going to be your opponent, Mr. Holmes. What do you think?
Right. I guess I'll try and relax as much as I can, and I'll definitely be a very interested observer. And I hope it's just as good of a race as this one was. So that's really what I hope for at the end of the day. Like, I hope I play well, and I hope that they're entertaining. That's what I hope for.
And we hope so too, because that will be the last match going into the round of 8, and then next week the quarterfinals begin. So outside of our runners, MisterHomes and AmazingToaster, we'd also like to throw some love and some follows and some support to the people who helped make this happen. Our restreamers, CD Improv, our tracker, Essentially41, myself, Highspirits, and my co-commentator, Up to NG. We thank you very much for watching, and we are going to send this over to Fred Coughlin, who is doing Zelda 1 Randomizer. I'm sure you can yell out something about Fred when you find out that it's not randomized enough. And thank you very much for watching tonight. We will be back in 2 days for the last match of the round of 16. Have a good night, everyone. Up to no good.
Have a good night.